At just 5 years old, I was forced to grow up fast. Not because I wanted to, but because my dad acted like a child, and my mom decided it was easier to make me the adult instead. When I was 5 years old, my life flipped upside down. Instead of getting to be a normal kid, my mom had to fast-track me into adulthood, because apparently it was easier to turn a 5-year-old into a mature adult than it was to get her own husband to act like one. My dad loved his little games. And by games, I mean the kind that made me cry. He'd threaten to destroy my toys, and sometimes he actually would, just because, like my older brother, he wanted to see me cry. That was the whole point. My mom used to say the same thing about my brother. He just wants to get a rise out of you. Don't let him. Okay! Or wild idea here, maybe try parenting the older child? Crazy concept. But maybe discipline him instead of making it my job to be unbothered at 5 years old? Just a thought. Anyway, I still remember being at my grandparents' house, sobbing my eyes out. Dad was threatening to toss my favorite stuffed animal into the neighbor's yard, where a pack of dogs could rip it to shreds. I tried to grab it back, but he just dangled it higher out of reach. So I did the only thing I knew. I ran to my mom for help. And you know what she said? Just take it with a grain of salt. I was 5. I had no clue what that even meant, so I asked her. And she let out this heavy, annoyed sigh, like it was so exhausting having to explain this to her 5-year-old. But apparently, explaining grain of salt to me 4 more times was still easier than asking her grown-ass husband to stop being a jerk to his own kids. And that's when it all started. That was the moment my mom realized that I could grow up faster than my dad ever would. So it became my job to outmature a 37-year-old man, to not get ruffled, to handle things like a tiny, exhausted grown-up. I became that kid, the one adults always wanted to put in charge because I was so well-behaved and so mature for my age. Yeah, no kidding. As time went on, it wasn't just about outmaturing my dad anymore. It became about maintaining peace. Not that peace was something I was even remotely familiar with. I had to help manage my dad's moods. I basically became my mom's tiny assistant, her emotional bodyguard. It actually got easier once I was a little older, compared to when I was small. Back then, when Dad was in a bad mood, my mom couldn't even muster up the courage to ask him basic questions like, "Hey, what side dish do you want with dinner?" Nope, she'd whisper the question to me and then send me into the lion's den. Ask your dad what side he wants. Don't forget what he says. You can't ask twice. No pressure, right? Just my tiny 5-year-old brain trying to memorize his answer perfectly so nobody got yelled at. And if Mom had already asked and forgotten, it didn't matter if it was her, me, or the Pope himself. Dad was gonna blow up. I knew why she didn't want to ask him herself. She was scared of him. And I felt it too, like a little lamb being sent to slaughter every single time. Fast forward to when I was about 20 years old. I brought it up to her. I asked if she remembered telling me to take it with a grain of salt that day when I was 5. She didn't remember that specific moment. But she was surprised she used that phrase with me at that age. Even more shocked that we both had the patience for her to explain it to me 5 times. But she wasn't surprised that I actually understood it or that I immediately started acting more grown up than my 37-year-old father. That part? That was burned into her memory. Me, tiny, reliable, mature. Dad, perpetual emotional toddler. She just didn't remember the exact event that flipped the switch in me before I even hit puberty. And honestly, every time I think about it now, I still get pissed at both of them. Because it never should have happened. If it had only been my brother teasing me, hey, he was 7. At least he had the excuse of being a kid. But my dad? At 37? What was his excuse?